I asked 6 different AI models how to lose weight, and they all gave me pretty much the same answer. On the surface, it sounds smart, scientific, and evidence based. But if you're overweight and have been struggling for years, this exact advice is the reason you keep failing. By the end of this video, you won't just know what's wrong with AI's weight loss advice, you'll also understand why trusting it blindly might be the thing keeping you stuck. And no, I'm not saying this as an AI hater. If I didn't use AI, I wouldn't even have the 3 friends that I do right now because I'd be still editing my first video. But there's a big difference between using AI as a tool and copy pasting its advice into a YouTube video, or worse, your own life. So here's what I did. I went to 6 different AI models and asked a very simple question. Just what a normal, desperate human being would type at 2 a.m. after finishing a family pack of Oreos. And what I got back was walls of text about calorie deficits, eat less, move more in fancy language, constant reminders to go for jogs and runs, and of course the classic, talk to your doctor at the end. And I'm going to read out what they said, summarized, don't worry. Roast it a little, explain why it fails people, and then show you what they're missing. And I'll give each AI a score out of 10. Before we get into the individual models, you need to understand why they're all giving the same advice. AI doesn't understand weight loss. It's not sitting there imagining you, your body, your history, your hormones. It's basically doing this. Given everything I've read on the internet, what combination of words sound the most safe, average, and socially acceptable? Most of its training data comes from government guidelines, generic health articles, safe PR-approved advice, and a sprinkle of fitness blog cliches. So of course it says 500 calorie deficit, exercise 150 minutes a week, control portions, all things in moderation, because those are the most common phrases on the internet associated with weight loss. AI is literally trained to repeat the average opinion but with extra bullet points and emojis. It does not tell you what actually works for someone who's 30, 40, or 50 pounds overweight, and that's the first problem. ChatGPT's answer basically starts with weight loss comes down to one principle: burn more calories than you consume over time. And that's the first thing wrong with it. Sure, energy balance is real, but here's the part AI doesn't get. Your body is not a passive calculator. It's a living hormonal system that fights back. When you're overweight, especially if you've been that way for years, your insulin is often high, your cells are insulin resistant, your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are messed up. Your body thinks this is the new normal. So when ChatGPT tells you just eat less and move more, track your food for 2 weeks, and gives you app recommendations to count calories, you hope you would lose weight, and you do for a while. But then your body slows down your metabolism, you subconsciously move less, you get hungrier, you start thinking about food more often than you normally do. And all of that has nothing to do with willpower. It's your body's natural survival strategy. This is why I keep saying in other videos that exercise and calorie counting are terrible primary strategies for fat loss, especially for people who are significantly overweight. And the worst part, ChatGPT doesn't say anything about how often you eat, snacking, or giving your body actual time without food so insulin can drop and you can burn stored fat. It just assumes you'll measure your food, be in a deficit, and your body will obediently burn fat instead of ramping up your sugar cravings just before you hit the bed. And I'll score it 4 out of 10. Not malicious, not stupid, just the same old advice that ignores real-world biology. Gemini's answer is like ChatGPT's answer, but with a suit and a tie. It says weight loss primarily comes down to consistently burning more calories than you consume. Then it recommends the following. It even talks about sleep, stress, and mindset. So at first glance, you're like, now this one's really thorough. But here's the issue. It still treats your body like a bank account. If you're severely overweight and dealing with metabolic issues, your problem is not I forgot to eat enough lettuce. Your problem is that your body is stuck in fat storage mode. That's hormonal. Insulin is too high, too often. Constant snacking, breakfast plus snack plus lunch plus snack plus dinner plus dessert. Plus snack. Gemini never asks, how often are you eating or are you snacking? Instead, it quietly encourages the eat all day, just smaller portions lifestyle, which is basically the fastest way to keep insulin elevated all day. If insulin is high, your body is in storage mode, not burning mode. You can be in a calorie deficit on paper and still be hungry, still be miserable, and barely lose fat because your body is fighting you. And I'll give it 5 out of 10. Looks impressive, sounds professional, even goes beyond food and exercise, but still built on the same calorie counting stupidity. Grok's answer, Honestly, I wanted to like this one. It says the following. This sounds like the smart friend of the group, but two things bothered me. It still frames everything around calorie deficit is king. All diets are just different ways to eat fewer calories. It claims this works for 95% of the people. If you've tried to lose weight 10 times and failed 10 times, you know that's not true. Because for many overweight people, what you eat matters, when you eat matters, and how often you spike insulin matters. If you're eating too many times, even with good foods, you're still sending the same signal all day. Grok at least mentions low carb and intermittent fasting, but then immediately tells you they're not special. They're just tools to reduce calories. That's like saying Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai are both just styles of karate, when we all know that some things are just inarguably way better than others. The whole point of low carb and fasting is not just less energy, it's less insulin. Less insulin means your body can finally tap into stored fat instead of screaming for snacks every 3 hours. Grok score 6.5 out of 10. Best of the bunch so far, but still trapped in the calorie deficit explains everything prison. Perplexity keeps it short and cute. It further adds, include healthy snacks to better manage hunger. If you're severely overweight and insulin resistant, this is the worst thing you can do. And even if someone is thin and metabolically healthy, the damage from snacking often will catch up to them eventually as well. Telling an overweight person to snack more, even with healthy snacks, is like telling someone trying to save money to spend less money on cheaper things, but more often. Makes no sense. Perplexity also pushes cardio heavily, again making it sound like movement is where the magic happens, when in reality, exercise is great for health but terrible as the main tool for fat loss. Score 3 out of 10. Points for mentioning protein, minus points for turning you into a full-time reverse vending machine. Get it? Because snacks come out of a vending machine and you'd be putting them, never mind. Deepseek basically wrote a mini ebook. If you've ever read a generic health blog, you've already read this answer. Again, I don't hate any single thing in here. The problem is what's missing for someone who's significantly overweight. And there's no warning that high impact exercise might wreck your joints if you're heavy. Score 5 out of 10. Very polished, very incomplete. Claude's answer is like the calm therapist of the group. If you printed it out and stuck it on a doctor's wall, nobody would complain. But again, here's what's missing. And there's no distinction between someone who wants to lose 6 pounds and someone who is severely overweight and metabolically unhealthy and wants to lose 60 pounds in any of their responses. They treat everyone like the same person with the same biology. Claude score 4 out of 10. Nice tone, same old framework. Across 6 different AI models, here's the pattern. Calories first, hormones second, or never. They behave like your body is a math equation, not a hormonal system. Exercise is oversold for fat loss. Cardio, jogging 150 minutes a week, meanwhile your joints are paying the price. Snacking and frequent eating are quietly encouraged. Healthy snacks, consistent meal schedule, don't skip meals. Translation: keep your insulin elevated all day so fat burning never actually gets going. Willpower is quietly blamed. They don't say it out loud, but the implication is if you can't stick to any of this and fail, that's on you. And that's what I have a problem with. Because obesity for most people is not a character flaw. It does not mean you're lazy. It's that your hormones are set up in a way that makes fat loss insanely hard when you follow this generic AI approved advice. Let me give you the short version of how I approach this. Your body has 2 basic modes. Fed state, where insulin is high and you store energy. And then there's the fasted state, where insulin is low and you burn stored fat. Most weight loss advice keeps you stuck in the fat state throughout the day. There's no real fasting window, just a little calorie trimming and extra walking. Instead, what actually helps most people long term looks more like this. Fix what you eat. Lower refined carbs and sugar. More whole foods, proteins, healthy fats, and less processed garbage that spikes insulin and cravings. Fix when you eat. Start by cutting out snacks. Move from all-day grazing to 3 proper meals. Over time, many people do well on 2 meals a day, and some experiment with 1 meal a day, but that's advanced. Remember, when you eat is as important as what you eat. You need chunks of time where insulin is low enough for your body to say, okay, we can burn stored fat now. Use exercise for health, not punishment. If you're significantly overweight, start with walking, swimming or biking if you have access. Avoid jumping jacks, burpees, and high impact routines that put too much pressure on your joints. Work with your hormones, not against them. As insulin improves, hunger changes, cravings go down. It becomes easier to eat the right foods and less often without feeling like you're being tortured. Your cravings go away and your brain's obsession with food significantly decreases. Watch this video to learn more.